So, the last chapter, the ultimate chapter in the Modern Business Accounting Principles series. I can't believe that's the last time I'm going to introduce this book. And as ever, I will let you know that it is copyright 1936, Alexander Hamilton Institute. And the last chapter, chapter 21, is Miscellaneous Accounting. And it's probably not going to be a very long chapter because it goes into some of the things that we're probably not all that interested in, but the comprehensive nature of accounting. As indicated in the preface, the purpose of this text is not to teach accountancy, but to present a clear exposition of accounting principles for the businesswoman and executive who necessarily requires this knowledge, although she may not desire to qualify in accountancy. Why ever not? In the foregoing chapters, however, there is adequate explanation of the fundamental principles of accounting to enable the executive to understand the significance of the profit and loss statement and the balance sheet. The executive will now perhaps understand clearly the reason for the statement that if those for whom the statements are prepared are unable to use them because of their lack of knowledge of the subject, the business suffers a double loss: the cost of maintaining an adequate system of accounts and the lack of constructive management based upon the valuable data presented in the accounting summaries. The more important aspects of the accounting system have been explained, but the chief accountant of a large commercial undertaking will be obliged to deal with methods of recording many other matters which arise in the course of business. And that's what this chapter goes into. So they're going to these miscellaneous things around accounting, including average due date, average date, account current, equated date, consignment account, departmental accounts, branch accounts, bankruptcy statements of affairs, and deficiency accounts. But most of those probably I'm just going to skip straight past, but there is some information I wanted to just briefly read out because I thought that was relevant to handmade businesses, and it was about consignment accounts. So a consignment consists of the forwarding of goods by a principal to an agent for the purpose of sale by the latter, usually for a remuneration in the form of a percentage on the proceeds called a commission. And I think that's something we're probably aware of if that's even not an aspect in our business. So we send products to a brick and mortar store, for example. They then sell those goods on to the final customer and they send back to us an amount that was paid less the percentage or the commission. The principal, the person who owns the goods comprised in the consignment and who is entitled to the net proceeds, is known as the consignor, and that's the person that makes the products. The agent who sells the goods on behalf of the principal is the consignee, and that's very technical legal language way to describe it. The ownership of the goods until they are sold remains with the consignor, or the consignee is simply in a position of trust and must account truthfully to her principal for all the dealings in connection with the venture. Then it goes into more specific information about sending letters with pricing, which is something you should be confirming with your consignment accounts. They should be sending invoices, an account sales report to you, showing you what was sold, what commission they have taken on that, and then obviously sending you back the remaining funds, and also keeping an account of what they still have in stock if you request that information. And you can obviously recall from your consignment stores your products at any point that you agree. Then the next section I just wanted to touch on, they've actually referred to this as departmental accounts. The object of keeping departmental accounts is to ascertain the trading results of each of the various classes of commodities. The importance of knowing how much profit and loss is being made in each department of a business is self-evident. The proprietors of a large business containing a number of departments should be able to ascertain which department is paying best, or if any department is working at a loss. Now, you're like, I don't have departments, I'm a sole trader, I make products, that doesn't apply to me. But I would actually just like to challenge you to say that it does apply, and I actually apply this in the way of sales channels, income streams, or revenue streams. So I record separately my sales from Etsy, sales from my own website, sales from Market, sales from Consignment, and sales from wholesale. And I use them, I treat them as though they're separate forms of the business so that I can see how much income I'm making from each of those streams. And I allocate some of the expenses that can be allocated directly to those parts of the business. So I can work out how much I'm paying in Etsy fees, how much my website's costing, how much markets are costing me. Obviously, I can also work out if I know how much as a percentage my goods cost to produce. I can also allocate costs from those to work out kind of a profit basis on how much that is. But it is good to be able to see those expenses in that and income in that comparable way. Then go on to if we wanted branch accounting. So if you have multiple locations, you can do that as well as multiple departments. And then there's a quite detailed example with all the statements, or they called it an illustration. Bankruptcy, which is something I never ever want to have to deal with, and that's pretty much the end of the chapter. There's not really a conclusion. I think the introduction for the chapter was probably the conclusion. It just goes on to tell us that the accountancy in its complete form covers a very wide field and embraces not only what is contained herein in more extensive detail, but other subjects around partnership, executorship, company accounts, liquidation, income and expenditure, budgeting, bankruptcy, income tax law, duties, economics, a whole long list of other subjects that if accountancy has piqued your interest, that you can go and explore. If you have enjoyed this video but haven't checked out the others in the series, you can do so from the YouTube channel Right Accounts. If you have enjoyed it, please click like, enter a comment or subscribe, and I will be bringing you a new modern business series. There are a lot to choose from, and I'll see you when that gets started.